Have you ever stopped and wondered, do I still have it? As time passes, that question gets louder. You start to question how people really see you now. But here's the truth, most men never realize this. You might be more attractive than you think. In the next few minutes, you'll start to notice the signs. The subtle ones, the quiet ones. The ones that can completely change how you see yourself. Stay with me. 1. Younger women feel comfortable around you. When you notice a younger woman talking to you naturally, not tense, not guarded, not in a hurry to end the conversation, that's usually not just politeness. It's something deeper. It's a sign that around you, she feels safe enough to relax and be herself. And in human psychology, the feeling of safety almost always comes before attraction. People are rarely drawn toward someone who makes them feel tense. They're drawn toward someone who lowers their need to stay on guard. What your body communicates, steady eye contact, an unhurried speaking pace, open posture, controlled movement, is often read before anyone has time to evaluate your face or your words. Research on nonverbal communication and attraction consistently shows that calm, confident, and physically controlled behavior significantly increases perceived attractiveness. So when a younger woman laughs at something simple you say, lingers a little longer than necessary, or turns back to ask one more small question even though the conversation could have ended, the right way to understand it is not, I said something impressive, but, I created a comfortable state. That is the real foundation of mature attraction. When men are younger, many try to impress with high energy, talking more, doing more, showing more, but the deeper you become, the more you realize that lasting attraction comes from the opposite, not needing to prove anything. A man who isn't eager for attention often becomes the one who receives it. That's the quiet paradox of presence. You can see this clearly in men who are considered attractive as they age. George Clooney has been mentioned for years as a prime example, not just because of his looks, but because of the feeling he carries, warm, grounded, steady. GQ once described his presence in Gravity as calm, wry and reassuring at all times, meaning composed, subtle, and consistently comforting. The same publication also noted, he wears the clothes, they don't wear him, meaning he owns his image instead of being consumed by it. That's a simple but powerful real-world example of why an older man can remain deeply attractive, not because he tries to appear younger, but because he stands more firmly in himself. So when you notice that younger women feel comfortable around you, the wise move is not to suddenly do more, not to perform, not to try to be more interesting, not to push the interaction further. That's exactly where most men lose what made them attractive in the first place. What you should do instead is preserve the qualities that created that comfort. Speak a little slower. Listen a little deeper. Don't interrupt every silence. And don't turn ease into performance. A grounded man doesn't suffocate a moment with impatience. He lets the conversation breathe. He doesn't seek attention, he has the capacity to hold it. In real life, it's simple. At a cafe, at work, in the gym, or in a social gathering, the man who creates comfort is rarely the loudest one. He's the one who is clearly present without overwhelming the space. He sits upright but not rigid. He maintains eye contact without intensity. He speaks a little less, but each sentence has rhythm and weight. And that's what makes people feel, around this man, I don't have to defend myself. And once that feeling appears, attraction often begins quietly from there. Marcus Aurelius said, the nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. That truth applies not only to your inner life, but to how others experience you. Calm doesn't make you invisible. Calm gives you weight. In simple terms, when younger women feel comfortable around you, it usually means you are projecting three rare qualities: stability, safety, and self-control. And what you should do is not add more, but maintain it. Because for a mature man, the greatest form of attraction is often not about making others notice you, but about making them feel at ease when they're near you. 2. You receive compliments on your style or grooming. When people consistently notice your clothes, your haircut, even the way you smell, that's not random. It means you leave an impression. And for a man who's lived a little, that impression carries more weight. Because style at this stage is no longer about trends. It becomes identity. Psychologically, appearance is one of the fastest ways people form judgments. Within seconds, Others decide whether you are disciplined, careless, confident, or unsure, not by what you say, but by how you present yourself. And grooming, especially, signals something deeper than looks. It signals self-respect. A man who takes care of his appearance is often perceived as a man who has his life in order. Not perfect, but intentional. So when someone says, "You dress well," or "You always look sharp," they're not just talking about fabric or style. They're responding to the message behind it. That you pay attention. That you value yourself. That you don't neglect the details. You begin to understand that attraction here isn't about standing out loudly. It's about being consistently put together. You don't need flashy pieces. You don't need to chase fashion. You need clarity. The right fit. Clean lines. A presence that feels composed. You can see this clearly in men known for timeless style. Take David Beckham. His look has evolved over decades, but the core remains the same: clean, intentional, controlled. Whether in a suit or casual wear, nothing feels accidental. That consistency builds recognition. And recognition builds attraction. Because people trust what feels stable. So when you receive these kinds of compliments, don't overreact. Don't suddenly try to elevate everything or experiment wildly. That's how men lose their edge. Instead, refine what already works. Keep your clothes fitted. Keep your grooming consistent. Pay attention to the small details others might ignore. A well-trimmed beard. A clean collar. A subtle scent that doesn't arrive before you do. Because in the end, style isn't decoration. It's discipline made visible. And as Tom Ford once said, dressing well is a form of good manners. Not for others, but for yourself. And that is what people actually notice. 3. Women give you lingering looks. When you catch a woman looking at you, and her gaze stays just a second longer than normal, that moment matters. Because people don't hold their gaze without a reason. Attraction is often quiet. Not announced, not obvious, but visible if you're paying attention. Psychologically, eye contact is one of the clearest nonverbal signals of interest. A quick glance is awareness. A lingering look is curiosity, sometimes admiration. And most of the time, it happens before a single word is exchanged. So when her eyes stay on you just a little too long, or she looks away slightly slower than expected, or there's a brief pause when your eyes meet, that pause is the signal. Not loud, but real. And what triggers it isn't just how you look. It's how you carry yourself. Your posture. Your movement. The way you exist in space. People read these things instantly. You can see this in everyday situations. At the gym, a man focused on his workout. Moving with control, not checking who's watching. That energy stands out. In a cafe, a man sitting calmly, not scrolling endlessly, not fidgeting, just present. That stillness draws attention. On the street, a man walking with steady pace, shoulders relaxed, eyes forward. He gets noticed without trying. Because attention is pulled towards certainty. And certainty is rare. This is why many men miss the signal. They expect attraction to be obvious, direct, verbal. But often, it's just a look. A quiet acknowledgement. I see you. You can observe this in men known for strong presence. Take Keanu Reeves. He rarely demands attention, rarely overexpresses, yet people are drawn to him constantly. His stillness, his controlled demeanor, his grounded energy. It invites attention rather than chasing it. That's the difference. So when you notice these lingering looks, don't break the moment. Don't look away too fast. Don't overreact. Don't suddenly change your behavior. That's where men lose control of the interaction. Instead, hold your frame. Meet the gaze briefly. Stay relaxed. Then continue as you were. Because a grounded man doesn't chase attention. He allows it to come and go without losing himself. As Bruce Lee once said, be like water, calm, fluid, and unstoppable. And sometimes, that calm is exactly what people can't stop looking at. 4. People come to you for advice or help. When people, especially women, come to you for advice, even for small things, even without a clear reason, That's not sluka. That's perception. They see something in you. Psychologically, people don't seek guidance from those they don't trust. They move toward those who feel stable, experienced, and grounded. Not necessarily the smartest man in the room, but the one who feels the most certain. Because certainty creates safety, and safety creates reliance. So when someone asks you for directions, or your opinion on something simple, or even deeper questions about life, work, relationships, what they're really saying is, you seem like someone who knows. And that perception is powerful. Because it's built over time. Your experiences, the wins, the failures, the lessons you've carried, they shape how you speak, how you pause, how you respond. People can feel that, even if you never explain it. That's why your words land differently. You don't rush to answer. You don't over-explain. You don't try to impress. You speak, and it feels grounded. You can see this clearly in real life. At work, when a problem comes up, people don't always go to the loudest person. They go to the one who stays calm under pressure. In a group of friends, when someone is confused or uncertain, they don't ask the most entertaining guy. They ask the one who listens first and speaks last. Because presence builds trust faster than knowledge. This is also why older men often carry a different kind of appeal. They're not just offering answers. They're offering perspective. And perspective cannot be faked. Take Morgan Freeman. When he speaks, people listen, not because he forces authority, but because his tone, his pace, his presence carry weight. There's no rush. No need to prove. Just clarity. And clarity attracts. So when people come to you for advice, don't overplay it. Don't try to sound smarter. Don't rush to give perfect answers. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for steadiness. So slow down. Listen fully. Answer simply. Let silence sit before you respond. Because a grounded man doesn't speak to impress. He speaks to clarify. As Seneca once said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. But in this case, what people call luck is often just years of quiet preparation showing through your presence. And that's why they come to you. 5. You have a confident, relaxed presence. When you walk into a room, and you don't feel the need to be seen, but people still notice you. That's not coincidence. That's presence. Real confidence doesn't announce itself. It doesn't rush to speak. It doesn't compete for attention. It settles. Psychologically, people are highly sensitive to emotional states. They can feel tension, and they can feel calm. A man who is internally steady creates a different atmosphere. Others begin to relax around him without knowing why. Because he's not seeking approval. He's not performing. He's simply at ease with himself. And that's rare. Most men, especially when they're younger, try to project confidence outward. Louder voice, bigger gestures, stronger opinions. But that kind of confidence is often unstable. It needs validation to survive. Quiet confidence doesn't. It comes from self-acceptance. From knowing who you are, and not needing to prove it. So when you notice that people seem more comfortable when you're around, when conversations feel easier, when you don't have to push to be included, what you're seeing is the effect of that inner stability. You can observe this clearly in real life. In a meeting, the man who speaks the least often carries the most weight. Because when he does speak, everyone listens. In a group setting, the man who doesn't chase attention often becomes the center of it. At a gathering, the one who leans back, listens, and smiles calmly, is often the one people gravitate toward. Because calm creates gravity. Take Clint Eastwood. He doesn't overexpress. He doesn't overexplain. His presence is minimal, but unmistakable. That's what decades of self-possession looks like. And people feel it instantly. So when you recognize this in yourself, don't disrupt it. Don't try to turn it up. Don't suddenly become louder or more animated. That's where many men lose their edge. Instead, protect that calm. Let your movements stay measured. Let your voice stay even. Let your reactions stay controlled. Because a man who is comfortable in silence becomes powerful without effort. As Lao Tzu said, he who knows does not speak, he who speaks does not know. True confidence doesn't need volume. It's already understood before a word is said. 6. You receive subtle compliments about your physical fitness. When people say things like, "You look strong," or "I hope I'm in that kind of shape at your age," that's not just small talk. That's respect. Because at this stage, fitness is no longer about appearance alone. It becomes a signal of discipline. Psychologically, the body is one of the clearest indicators of lifestyle. People read it instantly, not just size or muscle, but posture, energy, movement, control. A man who takes care of his body sends a quiet message. I take care of my life. And that message carries weight. So when someone notices your fitness, they're not just seeing your body. They're recognizing your consistency. The early mornings. The repetition. The decisions no one else sees. That's what makes it attractive. Because discipline is rare. You don't have to be extreme. You don't have to look like a bodybuilder. What stands out is sustainability. A body that moves well. A posture that holds steady. An energy that doesn't feel drained. You can see this clearly in everyday life. In the gym, it's not always the biggest man who gets attention. It's the one who trains with control, without ego, without distraction. On the street, it's not about size. It's about how someone walks, how they carry their shoulders, how they breathe. At work, the man who looks physically composed often appears mentally composed as well. Because the body reflects the mind. Take Arnold Schwarzenegger. Even beyond his peak years, what stands out is not just his physique, but his consistency and discipline over decades. That's what people respect. Not perfection, but commitment. So when you receive these subtle compliments, don't chase more. Don't suddenly push harder just to impress. Don't turn it into ego. That's where discipline becomes performance. Instead, stay consistent. Move with control. Train with purpose. Take care of your body like it's part of your standards, not your image. Because a strong body isn't just seen. It's felt. As Socrates once said, it is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Not for others, but for yourself. And that quiet strength is exactly what people notice. 7. Women laugh at your jokes, even the simple ones. When a woman laughs at what you say, even when it's not that funny, that moment means more than it seems. Because it's not about the joke. It's about how you make her feel. Psychologically, laughter is a signal of comfort and connection. People don't laugh freely when they feel tense. They laugh when they feel safe, when they feel at ease. So when she laughs, especially at something simple, even a little corny, what she's responding to is your presence, not your punchline. You're creating a space where she can relax. And that's what she's enjoying. Many men think humor is about being clever, quick, impressive. But real attraction doesn't come from trying to entertain. It comes from being comfortable enough not to try. A grounded man doesn't perform for laughs. He allows them. That's why simple humor often works better. It feels natural, unforced, real. You can see this clearly in everyday situations. In a group conversation, the man who makes light, effortless remarks often gets more genuine laughter than the one trying too hard to be funny. At a dinner table, the man who smiles, pauses, and says something simple can shift the entire mood of the room. Because people respond to ease, not effort. You can observe this in men known for their understated humor. Take Ryan Reynolds. His humor isn't always complex, often it's dry, simple, even self-aware. But it works because it feels natural, relaxed, and confident. He doesn't chase laughter. He creates it by being at ease. That's the difference. So when women laugh at your jokes, even the simple ones, don't overanalyze it. Don't suddenly try to be funnier. Don't stack jokes on top of each other. That's where it becomes forced. Instead, stay grounded. Say less. Let the moment land. Let the laughter breathe. Because a man who doesn't need to be funny often becomes the one people enjoy the most. As Charlie Chaplin once said, "A day without laughter is a day wasted." But the deeper truth is this: the man who creates laughter without trying is the man people don't forget. 8. You notice subtle flirting gestures directed at you. When a woman shows interest, it's rarely loud. It's quiet, controlled, almost easy to miss. And that's why most men overlook it. But when you start noticing small gestures, the way she adjusts her hair, the way she mirrors your posture, the light, almost accidental touch, those are not random. They're signals. Psychologically, attraction often shows up through subconscious behavior. When someone feels drawn to you, their body begins to align with yours. Not intentionally, but naturally. Mirroring, for example, is one of the clearest signs of connection. When she copies your movements, your rhythm, your posture, it reflects comfort and a desire to stay in sync with you. The same goes for small touches. A brief contact on your arm. A moment that lingers just slightly longer than necessary. These are low-risk ways of testing connection, without saying anything directly. And then there's self-adjustment. Touching her hair. Fixing her posture. Subtly presenting herself. These are instinctive behaviors that say, "I want to be seen by you." You can observe this in real life. Everywhere. In a conversation, when you lean back and she does the same. When you slow down your speech and she matches your pace. When there's a brief touch, followed by a pause, waiting for your reaction. These are moments most men rush through. Because they're not obvious. But attraction rarely is. You can see this clearly in social interactions around confident men. They don't chase signals. They notice them. Take Daniel Craig. His presence isn't overly expressive, but it's grounded and controlled. In interviews and public settings, you'll often see subtle responses from others. Adjustments, attention shifts, small gestures. Because controlled energy draws attention without demanding it. That's the principle. So when you begin to notice these signs, don't react too quickly. Don't call them out. Don't rush to escalate. That's where subtle attraction disappears. Instead, stay composed. Acknowledge without overreacting. Let the interaction unfold naturally. Because attraction at this level isn't about speed. It's about awareness. A grounded man doesn't chase signals. He recognizes them and allows them to develop. As Sun Tzu once said, "He who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not, will be victorious." In this context, it means something simple. The man who observes without rushing is the one who understands what others miss. You don't become less with time. You become more defined. Not louder. Not sharper. Just harder to ignore. If you see these signs in yourself, you were never losing it. You were becoming it. If you found this video valuable, subscribe to Silent Stoic and become stronger, calmer, every single day. So tell me, which one did you recognize in yourself first?